welcome to the show. I'm Danella, and here's what's happening now. Another difficult week here on our planet. Of course, we have Maria still wreaking havoc. We'll give an update on Maria, but also Mexico dealing with 2 earthquakes in just 12 days. I'm going to talk about what we here in the U.S. can learn by our brothers and sisters in Mexico. Also, I mentioned this to you last week, right? We're going to talk about what is a Xennial. Have you heard of that? Yeah, I'll let you know what a Xennial is. And of course, I have political pop. It's on deck. But right now, in our world, we'll get to Puerto Rico, but we'll start out in Mexico. Let me just first talk about the resolve of the people there. I mean, a 7.1 earthquake. They hadn't had an earthquake of this magnitude hit the area in like a century, right? And the other thing that is really amazing is how the president is urging the locals to just stay home, right? But you see it all over the news. People are coming out in droves to just help, hand by hand, picking up rubble, bricks, anything to just try to help with the search and rescue missions there. Even you're seeing like local stores, offering a place for people to recharge their phones. They're offering food, water, and also hardware stores are offering, lending out their tools. It's amazing to see the people come together. So what I wanted to bring up is that what we can learn here at home, and that is this, is that how come we don't have a warning system, right? If you think about it, in Mexico, right, they had a drill because of the anniversary of the earthquake. I believe that happened in 1985. They had a drill, and just, half hour later, the real thing hits 7.1. And it is I don't know. It's like frustrating to me. Yeah, that's the feeling that I have. Is that here in America, where we have earthquakes, I mean, California alone, we have earthquakes. Why aren't we investing? Why aren't we investing in a national system to warn people? Yeah, we have a stronger infrastructure. However, even with the infrastructure being strong, you need to give people warning time to allow all the employees to get out on the street and save themselves. So the biggest concern is not, will we ever have a 7.1? Like, that's not. It's really, when we have a 7.1 magnitude, how will we protect ourselves? How will we respond? And with so many budget cuts, my hope is that Congress will see and learn from our brothers and sisters across the border, see and learn and say, hey, maybe we need to invest in something like that here. How can we create an effective warning systems to warn people that something like this is about to happen? Yeah, so it's a lot of praying. I'm getting to the point of just saying pray for the world, but definitely prayers to the folks in Mexico. I think so far at least 273 people have died, and so yeah, everybody's working together to try and rebuild. I mean, there thousands are without power at this very moment. So they're building, and it's good to see a lot of us here at home also went down to help out the folks in Mexico. So now we're going to talk about Maria. Yo, Maria. So first we'll start with Puerto Rico. I mean, I know you are watching this. Puerto Rico has been devastated, and this is a place that has been in a recession for 11 years. And they're saying that because they're in such debt, they don't know when they'll be able to get the power back on. They're saying definitely weeks, possibly months of the entire area of Puerto Rico being without power. It's a crisis there. I'm still seeing flooding in that area, and Maria right now is downgraded but still strong. She's at a category 3, affecting the Bahamas, also affecting the Dominican Republic. And so we're keeping an eye on Maria as well, and sending prayers to those that are affected. And I have to say, people are still dealing with the effects of Harvey as well. So yeah, again, why are people saying there is no climate change? Why are we saying this? Why are we saying this? So yeah, those are the updates there. Now let's get into political pop. Political pop this week, starring none other than Kim Jong-un. Yeah, he deserves to star in this political pop. Did you hear what he said recently? So, if you listen on soulcityradio.com or even on this YouTube channel, you've heard during the week I've done some updates about what's happened during the UN meeting and specifically what Trump said at the United Nations meeting this week, right? He said a lot of harsh words. He was calling Rocket Man, saying a lot of just stuff about, vowing to possibly destroy North Korea. Yeah, that's what he was saying. Well, here's what Kim Jong Un responded to. He said, yeah, I am now thinking hard about what response he could have expected when he allowed such eccentric words to trip off his tongue. That's one of the nicer things he said, because he also basically called Trump senile. Yeah, and threatened him. And North Korea is also now threatening to shoot off, right, to launch an H bomb over the Pacific Ocean. This is crazy. So now on our side, the US, we're trying to get more sanctions, tougher sanctions. Trump really wants other nations to not do any trading with North Korea and hoping to say, well, hey, you get a choice. You can trade with us in America or trade with them in North Korea. And so, yeah, that's a very tough sanction. He's really trying, or as a nation, we're really trying to hit them in the pockets. And I swear each week it just escalates. It really escalates. In my heart of hearts, I'm hoping these are just words, right? But also in my heart of hearts, I'm feeling the anger rise. And I'm hoping these terrible words do not turn into action. And that was your political pop. Now, our topic this week. So, it's a little fun one in a sense because I was relieved. Did you guys hear about Xennials? Have you heard of this? I just discovered. Now, let me first say, I was previously in Generation X. My husband is a millennial. And I used to always kind of, I don't know, it's kind of fun to express our differences in that way. He's a millennial. And I would talk to him a lot and I would have to ask for translations. I would say to him, look, I'm not up on my ratchetness. I'm not up on my hood. I don't understand. I mean, literally, my world is like this. Dear mumble rapper.
Yeah.
Why?
I like what I got. You know what I'm talking about this. Said I'm a rip like a got balls in my sack full of balls, hard balls, shiny marbles. Marbles fall out like they raindrops. Drip drop, clip flop, mouth full of tiny D baby socks. I got an army of robot bots, and they ain't humble, and we all mumble. Tell me a grumble. Sound like a dog in heat. Can't speak, but I always keep it trill. Gotta stay woke. I can hardly breathe. There's a gnat in my throat. I think my tongue broke, cause I can hardly speak. Don't mumble. Speak out.
Sincerely, Danella. Right. That's literally how I feel. I'm like, what are you saying? So, yeah, I've been grateful to my husband because, yeah, he speaks it. And so he'll let me know, like, that's blah, 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 blah. That's what they're saying. So now to think we're actually now in the same generation. So this is how it breaks down. So millennials were considered to be born between 1982 and 2004, right? So if you're a millennial, you're in between 13 and 35. That's what they're saying, right? Okay, so the generation before is Gen X. They spanned over 20 years, beginning at 1961 and ending in 1981. So what they've recently done, I mean, think about it. 20 years is a long span, right? If you're 35, are you really relating to a 13-year-old right now? Not so much. So what they created now was Xennial, because in those two generations, something major happened. And that was technology, like huge leaps and bounds where life was completely different. So the way that they're now classifying a Xennial, this is how you can tell if it's you. First, if you think about it, the people that are in Gen X, Generation X, right? The people that are born at the later end, like myself, we know what it's like to have a life without, major electronics, but we also know what it's like to be young when electronics were merging. So I remember when our classrooms, they ensured that every classroom had a computer back then, a VCR. Yeah, it wasn't DVDs. But then televisions as well. Like I remember every single class, and it was a huge deal. Like you could be in your pottery class, firing up the kiln, and all of a sudden your teacher has a computer, and then seeing, well, now every student has access to a computer in these classes. So for us, we know what that's like, where people that are in the older generation X, they've had their complete youth without those things, they've had their complete youth without cell phones. And for us, we don't. We know what it's like to not have it and then also have it and still be young to be able to grasp it easier. So that's for the Gen Xers. For the millennials, the cats that were born earlier in the millennial, they're in a similar situation. They were young, but they do have recollection of not having as much technology, right? And so what they've done is put these people, the people that are later in Gen X, like me, and the people that are the starters of the millennials, like Kyle, and merge us together in Xennials. And at first I was annoyed because I was like, I thought I was killing it. Rawr, cougar style. But I guess I'm not killing it that much. So yeah, Xennials. Now, if you were born between 1977 and 1983, you are considered a Xennial. And so, yeah, Xennials are people like millennials always had technologies, but Xennials are people who had to learn, grow up, adjust, and embrace it. So those are Xennials. But I don't care what nobody say. I could be a Xennial and my husband can be a Xennial, and I hate to admit it, after working for BET and years on hip hop stations and radio, I still need some translation sometimes. I'm just keeping it real. I'm just keeping it real. All right. So before we get out of here, listen to this. Have you guys heard about this? I want to head over to Tennessee, where police there have put out a warning on their Facebook page, warning people to stop calling 911 for reports that a man has been crushed by a door. Here's what they're saying. The department said it received many calls about a suspicious person lying in the driveway with bloody handprints on the garage. And when the officers arrived to the scene to investigate, they found this. Are you freaking kidding me? Who did that? Who did that? I don't know why it's funny to me. It's funny, but it's sick. Like, first of all, it doesn't even make sense. If your head gets cut off under the garage, how are your hands back here on the top of the garage when it lands? It doesn't even make sense. Like, people are crazy. Like, it's still September. Y'all are going too hard. Are you one of those people going this hard on Halloween? This is just too hard. Too hard. Yeah. Attention, everyone. For those of you driving on Chucky Pike in Greene County, this is a Halloween decoration in all caps. Do not call 911 reporting a dead body. Instead, congratulate the homeowner on a great display. Now, here's what one of the comments said. I thought this was funny. Can you imagine how many break-ins this would prevent? People are crazy. But I thought this was a fun fact. Did you know that last year Americans spent $8.4 billion on Halloween? $8.4 billion on Halloween. Yeah, it's a beloved holiday. I'm just saying, like, we get mad when other nations might call it privileged or out of touch, but 8.4 billion on Halloween, guys. But yeah, so folks in Tennessee, don't call 911 if you see this guy. And if you're really into Halloween, can you try not to put decorations that can really, really horrify and damage small children? Like, can you imagine how hurt, traumatized a small child would be? People are crazy. Yeah, so that about wraps up the show. Thank you so very much for joining another week. And thank you for your comments. If you notice, I always write back. So thank you so much. I really appreciate the feedback. It really means a lot to me. And I appreciate you helping me grow the show and make the show better. So thank you. And with that, have an amazing weekend. And I'll see you next week.